He was the godfather of Dutch kickboxing, trained world champions. This is the shocking true fall of Jan Plas.
Sir. The roar of the crowd in the Las Vegas arena hit like a tidal wave, lights flashing across sweat-slicked bodies as Jake Pierce delivered a brutal roundhouse kick to his opponent's jaw. The man crumpled to the mat, the referee's count echoing through the haze of adrenaline. Jake's chest heaved, his gloves raised in victory, but his eyes, those piercing blue eyes, scanned the front row until they locked on hers. Emily Hayes felt her heart slam against her ribs, her hands clenched in her lap, nails digging into her palms. This wasn't just another fight, this was the championship that could make or break him, and the way he looked at her, like she was the only anchor in his storm, made her breath catch. But as the bell rang and confetti rained down, a shadow crossed Jake's face. He winced, clutching his side where a hidden fracture from training throbbed like fire. Emily pushed through the throng of fans, her heels clicking on the concrete floor, reaching the ring just as security parted for her. "Jake," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the cheers. He pulled her into a hug, his body trembling not from exhaustion, but something deeper, fear. "I did it, Em, for us." His words were rough, laced with that gritty determination she'd fallen for 6 months ago when she, a sports journalist from Chicago, interviewed him after a local bout. They'd met in a dimly lit gym in the Vegas outskirts, where the air smelled of leather and sweat. Emily had been chasing a story on rising fighters, but Jake's quiet intensity drew her in the way he shadowboxed with precision, his muscles rippling under the fluorescent lights, yet his smile softened when he caught her watching. "You here to expose my secrets?" he'd teased, his American drawl warm like bourbon. Their first date was coffee in a 24-hour diner, talking until dawn about dreams and scars. Now, as they escaped the arena to their hotel suite overlooking the Strip, neon lights painting the room in reds and blues, Emily sensed the crack in his armor. "I saw you flinch during that last round," she said, her fingers tracing the bruise blooming on his ribcage as he stripped off his shirt. The room felt charged, the distant hum of slot machines below mirroring her pulsing worry. Jake pulled away, his jaw tightening, shadows playing across his chiseled features. "It's nothing, just need to rest." But his eyes betrayed him haunted, like he was already slipping into a void. That night, as they lay tangled in sheets, his breathing uneven against her neck, Emily whispered, "Promise me you'll see a doctor tomorrow." He nodded, but the silence stretched, heavy with unspoken truths. The next morning, the doctor's office in the heart of Vegas was sterile, the fluorescent buzz amplifying the tension. "Fractured ribs, torn ligaments in your knee," the doctor said flatly, X-rays glowing on the screen. "One more fight like that, and you're done for good." Jake's face paled, his hands gripping the exam table until his knuckles whitened. Emily squeezed his arm, her heart twisting. Kickboxing was his life, rising from a rough Philly childhood, training relentlessly to become a legend. Without it, who was he? As they drove back in silence, the desert sun beating down on the convertible, Jake's phone buzzed. A text from an old trainer. "Opportunity in underground circuits. Big money. Call me." Emily glanced at him, her stomach knotting. "Don't even think about it." But Jake's grip on the wheel tightened, his eyes distant, staring at the horizon where the city faded into dust. That evening, in their apartment with views of the glittering casinos, arguments flared like sparks. "We need the cash. Medical bills are piling up." His voice cracked, vulnerability seeping through his tough exterior. She paced the living room, her reflection in the window showing tear-streaked cheeks. "It's not worth your life." He pulled her close, his lips brushing her forehead, the scent of his cologne mixing with faint gym sweat. "I won't let us fall apart." But as he kissed her, deep and desperate, Emily felt the first thread of their world unraveling. Weeks blurred into a haze of secret meetings. Jake started disappearing at night, returning with bruises and cash stuffed in his duffel. Emily confronted him in the kitchen one dawn, coffee mug shattering on the tile as she yelled, "Who are these people?" His eyes, red-rimmed, met hers with regret. "Just some guys helping me out." But she saw the lie, the way his shoulders slumped under invisible weight. Their love, once effortless, now simmered with tension, stolen moments of passion interrupted by his phone's relentless buzz. One night, as rain lashed the windows, Jake confessed over whiskey. "I owe them now." It started small, but his voice trailed, hands trembling as he cupped her face. Emily's tears fell hot on his skin. We'll figure it out together. But deep down, she knew the shadows were closing in. The turning point came in a seedy warehouse on the Vegas edge, where underground fights drew crowds of sharp-dressed men with cold eyes. Jake won again, but as Emily watched from the shadows, heart pounding, a man in a tailored suit approached him post-fight. "Impressive, Pierce. We could use talent like yours in bigger games." Jake hesitated, glancing her way, but the debt loomed. That night, back home, he packed a bag. "It's just a trip to scout opportunities." Emily clung to him at the door, her kiss fierce, whispering, "Come back to me." As his cab vanished into the night, she collapsed against the wall, sobs racking her body, the emptiness echoing her fear. The plane touched down in Amsterdam under a gray sky, the canals reflecting the muted light like veins through the city. Jake stepped off, his duffel slung over his shoulder, the ache in his knee a constant reminder of what he'd left behind. But Vegas felt worlds away. Emily's last text burning in his pocket. "Be safe. I love you," he replied with a heart emoji. "But, sir." Guilt gnawed at him. The opportunity was a lie. It was a debt collection run for the syndicate that had bailed him out after his injury. Just one job, they'd said. Now, in this foreign yet strangely familiar city, cobblestone streets bustling with bikes and tourists, he felt the pull of something darker. His contact, a burly American expat named Mike Donovan, met him at a Connellside cafe, steam rising from espresso cups. "Pierce, the legend himself," Mike grinned, but his eyes were shark-like. "Boss wants you to handle a pickup. Easy cash." Jake nodded, his jaw set, ignoring the twinge of unease. The boss was Victor Hale, a shadowy figure running operations from the underbelly of Amsterdam's red light district. Jake had heard whispers back home Hale's network dealt in everything from smuggled goods to protection rackets, all under the guise of legitimate clubs. As days turned to weeks, Jake dove deeper. The job started simple, escorting packages through narrow alleys where street lamps cast long shadows, his fighter's instincts keeping him sharp. But the city wore on him its damp chill seeping into his bones, the constant buzz of languages a stark contrast to Vegas's neon chaos. Nights, he'd video call Emily from his cramped apartment overlooking a bridge, her face pixelated but beautiful. "When are you coming home?" she'd ask, her voice soft, eyes searching his. "Soon, Em, just tying up loose ends." But the lies piled up, each one a brick in the wall between them. "Sir." Emily, back in Chicago now, having moved for a new job to escape the memories, threw herself into work. Her apartment overlooking Lake Michigan, a lonely refuge. Mornings, she'd run along the shore, wind whipping her hair, trying to outpace the ache in her chest. Friends like Sarah, her editor, noticed. "You look like hell, Em, call him." But pride held her back. One evening, as sunset painted the water orange, her phone rang. "Jake." "I miss you," he said, his voice cracking over the line. She closed her eyes, picturing his smile. "Then come back." Silence stretched. "Then I can't. Not yet." Tears welled as she hung up, curling on the couch, the weight of uncertainty crushing her. In Amsterdam, Jake's role escalated. A botched deal in a dimly lit warehouse crate stacked high. Air thick with tension forced him to use his skills. When a rival crew ambushed, Jake fought back, his kicks precise, disarming two men with ease. Victor Hale watched from the shadows, impressed. "You're not just muscle, Pierce. You've got leadership." That night, in Hale's opulent office above a bustling club, pulsing bass vibrating the floors, Hale offered more. "Join the inner circle. Run operations." Jake hesitated, fingers drumming on the leather armchair, thinking of Emily. But the debt, the thrill, it hooked him. "All right," he muttered, sealing his fate. Emily sensed the shift in their calls, Jake's voice edgier, distractions in the background. Suspicion grew like a storm. One night, after a grueling day at the office, she booked a flight. "I need answers," she told Sarah over wine, her hands shaking. Landing in Amsterdam, the city's charm masked her anxiety, tulips blooming along canals, but her heart raced. She tracked him to a cafe, spotting him across the street, laughing with Mike. But as she approached, a sleek car pulled up, Jake sliding in. Following on foot, she lost him in the crowds, breath ragged, fear coiling in her gut. Reuniting that evening at his apartment, the door creaking open to reveal Jake's shocked face. "Em, what are you doing here?" She stepped in, rain-soaked, eyes blazing. What are you doing here? The room felt small, charged with electricity. He pulled her into his arms, the kiss urgent, tasting of desperation. I got in over my head, he confessed, his forehead against hers, breathing synced. They talked through the night, candles flickering, shadows dancing on walls. It's not who I am, he whispered, vulnerability cracking his voice. Emily traced his scars, her touch gentle. Then let's leave. But as dawn broke, a knock echoed a mic, with urgent business. Jake's eyes darkened. I can't walk away that easy. The romance reignited amid the tension, stolen walks along canals, hands intertwined, laughter echoing under bridges. But danger lurked. Emily overheard whispers in a pub, piecing together Jake's rise. He's Hale's right hand now, a bartender muttered. Confrontation brewed that night in bed. Sheets tangled, she whispered, You're, sir, changing. He held her tighter, silent tears on his cheek. I love you more than anything. Yet the pull of power grew, Jake attending meetings in smoke-filled rooms, his decisions carrying weight. Emily felt the rift, her intelligence clashing with his secrecy. Tell me everything, she pleaded one evening, wine glasses clinking. He did the debts, the fights, the allure. Her heart broke, but love held firm. As spring bloomed in Amsterdam, tulips carpeting fields outside the city, Jake's ascent accelerated. Victor Hale, aging and paranoid, began grooming him late-night strategy sessions in a hidden loft, maps sprawled across tables under dim lamps. You've got the fire, Pierce, Hale rasped, cigar smoke curling. Jake nodded, his mind racing, but thoughts of Emily anchored him. She'd extended her stay, working remotely from a cozy Airbnb near the canals, her laptop glowing in the soft afternoon light. Their days blended romance and reality picnics in Vondel Park, where laughter mingled with birdsong, her head on his shoulder as they watched cyclists whiz by. But cracks deepened. Emily's investigations as a journalist unearthed rumors Hale's empire crumbling under rival pressures. This is dangerous, Jake, she urged one afternoon, pacing the loft, sunlight slanting through windows. He stood by the balcony, overlooking the water, his back tense. I know, but I'm in control now. His voice held a new edge, power suiting him like a tailored coat. She approached, hands on his, waist, turning him to face her. Their eyes met, electric, his filled with conflict, hers with fierce love. Control or trapped? The kiss that followed was raw, hands roaming, breaths mingling in the quiet space. A rival faction struck that week, a tense standoff in a warehouse district, crates hiding shadows where men lurked. Jake led the negotiation, his presence commanding, voice steady. Back off our territory, he warned, fists clenched at his sides. No blows landed, but the air crackled with threat. Returning home, he found Emily waiting, worry etched in her furrowed brow. What happened? She asked, bandaging a small cut on his hand, her touch tender. He pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. Nothing I couldn't handle. But silence spoke volumes. Vulnerability surfaced in his quiet admissions. I never wanted this life. Their bond intensified amid the chaos nights, exploring the city, hand in hand under streetlights, sharing dreams. Remember our first date? Emily murmured one evening, as they dined at a quaint bistro, candles flickering. Jake smiled, genuine warmth breaking through. How could I forget? You challenged me to arm wrestle. Laughter eased the tension, but reality intruded. Hale called more frequently, pulling Jake into deeper webs. Emily felt sidelined, her strength tested. I'm not some fragile thing, she snapped during an argument, storming to the window, arms crossed. He followed, wrapping arms around her from behind. You're my, everything. The makeup was passionate, reaffirming their connection. Tensions peaked when Emily discovered a hidden file in Jake's drawer, documents linking him to Hale's operations. Heart pounding. She confronted him in the kitchen, papers scattered on the counter. You're the boss now? How deep does this go? Jake's face fell, regret washing over him, Hale's stepping down. He chose me. Silence hung heavy, her eyes welling. And us? He knelt, taking her hands, voice breaking. You're my reason to fight this. They held each other, breath sinking, the city's hum fading, as Jake assumed more control. Meetings shifted to him, leading sharp commands in boardrooms disguised as offices, his decisions swift. But doubt crept in. Emily's words echoing. One night, after a close call with authority sirens wailing in the distance, he returned shaken. Emily soothed him with soft words, her embrace a sanctuary. "We can run," she whispered. He nodded, hope flickering, but loyalty bound him. A key ally, Tom Riley, an old friend from Vegas, arrived, complicating things. "Boss needs you solid," Tom said, clapping Jake's shoulder. Emily watched warily, sensing the pull. The emotional stakes rose, Emily's fear manifesting in sleepless nights, Jake's guilt in distant stares. A tender moment by the canal, sunset gilding the water, he proposed informally, "Marry me, Em, when this ends." Tears streamed as she nodded, their kiss sealing promises, but shadows loomed. A rival's threat note arrived. Sir. Escalating danger. Jake's protectiveness surged, assigning discreet guards. Emily chafed but understood, her intelligence shining as she suggested strategies. "Use your legend status, people respect you." Summer heat blanketed Amsterdam, the canals shimmering under relentless sun as Jake fully stepped into Hale's shoes. The transition was seamless, yet stormy rival crews testing boundaries, forcing Jake to navigate alliances with calculated poise. In a sleek conference room overlooking the harbor, he brokered a deal, his voice authoritative, eyes scanning for betrayal. "We unite or we fall," he stated, handshake sealing it. Success tasted bitter back in the apartment. Emily waited, her presence a balm. "How was it?" she asked, pouring wine, her smile masking concern. He sighed, collapsing beside her on the couch, head in her lap. "Exhausting." Her fingers combed his hair, silent comfort speaking louder than words. Their love evolved, deepened by Trial's morning coffees on the balcony, discussing futures, her laughter lightening his load. But isolation grew. Emily missed Chicago's familiarity, confiding in calls to Sarah. "He's changing, but so am I." Jake noticed her withdrawal, pulling her into dances in the living room, music soft, bodies swaying. "I see you, Em," he murmured, lips grazing her ear. Vulnerability peaked in quiet confessions, his fears of losing himself, her dread of losing him. "We're in this," she affirmed, eyes locking, breaths shared. A crisis hit when Sir. Deal soured, a shipment intercepted, blame pointed at an insider. Jake interrogated in a dimly lit basement office, tension thick, but no force used, words cut deeper. "Loyalty or leave," he warned. The traitor confessed, averting disaster. Returning home, shaken, Jake found Emily packing. "I can't watch you destroy yourself," she said, voice trembling, suitcase half full. He blocked the door, desperation in his eyes. "Don't go, please." Tears flowed as they argued, emotions raw, her frustration, his pleas. "This isn't the man I love," she cried. He dropped to his knees, grasping her hands. "Help me end it." The reconciliation was tearful, embraces tight, promises renewed. With Emily's support, Jake plotted an exit, secret meetings with Tom, mapping escapes. "We'll go back to the States," he whispered one night, stars twinkling above. She nodded, hope blooming. But betrayal struck Hale, sensing weakness, confronted Jake in his old office, air heavy with cigar smoke. "You're mine now," Hale growled. Jake stood firm, not anymore. The fallout rippled, threats escalating, forcing Jake to protect Emily. He sent her to a safe house on the city's edge, a quaint cottage with garden views. "Just until it's over," he assured, kissing her goodbye, lingering. Alone, Emily paced the floors, anxiety gnawing, her intelligence urging action. She researched rivals, feeding info to Jake via encrypted messages. Their calls were lifelines, his voice steadying her. "I feel your strength," he said. "Sir." Reunion came after a tense negotiation. Jake arrived at dusk, enveloping her in arms. "It's coming," he breathed. Passion reignited, but reality intruded, a mole revealed, leading to a high-stakes meeting. Emotional layers peeled. Jake's humanity shone in moments of doubt, confiding childhood traumas. Emily shared her own loss of parents young, building resilience. Bonds strengthened, love a fortress. But the fall accelerated, authorities closed in, tipped off. Jake evaded a raid, heart racing through alleys, calling Emily mid-flight. "Meet me at the bridge." She ran, rain pelting, finding him soaked, pulling him into shadows. "We leave now," she urged. He agreed, but a final tie bound him, a debt to settle. Autumn leaves swirled along Amsterdam's canals, a chill wind heralding change as Jake orchestrated his final move. In a neutral cafe, steam rising from mugs, he met the rival leader, voice calm amid tension. Truce. I walk away. Handshake exchanged, but trust fragile. Returning to Emily, waiting in their packed apartment, he swept her up, spinning her. It's done. Her laughter mixed with tears, relief washing over. They boarded a flight that night, hands clasped, watching the city shrink below Jake's empire fading like a dream. Back in Chicago, the lake's waves lapped familiar shores, their new apartment a fresh start. Jake traded power for peace, opening a small gym, training kids with gentle guidance. Emily's career flourished, articles flowing. Their love matured quiet. Evenings cooking, walks in parks, gestures speaking volumes. You saved me, he whispered one sunset, arm around her. She leaned in. We saved each other. Vulnerability lingered in shared silences, but hope prevailed. Yet scars remained. Jake's past whispered in nightmares, Emily soothing him awake. They built a life of friends like Sarah toasting their resilience, community embracing the former legend. In moments of doubt, they'd hold eye contact, breath sinking, reaffirming. The fall taught them strength, love's warmth conquering shadows. As the credits roll on this tale of redemption, if Jake and Emily's journey tugged at your heart, hit that like button, drop a comment on what moved you most, and subscribe to Cinematic Mafia Love for more stories that wrap you in emotion and leave you hopeful. Your support keeps the love alive. See you in the next one.